Reminding about incontestable matters is needed, rather than instruction in theoretical ones. The essentials of religion, the incontestable matters of the Sharia, are present in people's hearts. They are made conscious of them by being reminded. The desired result is obtained. Arabic performs this reminder in more lofty fashion. Note: the author pursued an event that was to occur 10 years later and tried to reply to it. The Arabic khutbah in the Friday prayers is sufficient for recalling the essentials and incontestable matters. There, instruction in theoretical matters is not required. Moreover, those Arabic words stamp an imprint of unity on the face of Islam's conscience. To multiply their language is unacceptable. Hadiths say to the Qur'an's verses, "It is impossible to reach you." If you compare verses and hadiths, you will see clearly that the most eloquent of men was the conveyor of revelation, yet not even his eloquence was equal to the eloquence of the Qur'an's verses. Not even he could emulate it. That means that all the words issuing from Muhammad's tongue were not his. Expound the Qur'an's miraculousness concisely. One time I had a dream. I was at the foot of Mount Ararat. The mountain suddenly exploded, scattering rocks the size of mountains all over the world, shaking it. Then a man appeared at my side. He told me, "Expound the aspects of the Qur'an's miraculousness you know, concisely and succinctly." I thought of the dream's meaning while still dreaming, telling myself, the explosion here symbolizes a revelation in mankind. As a result of it, the guidance of the criterion of truth and falsehood will be exalted everywhere and will rule, and the time will come to expound its miraculousness. I said to the questioner in reply, "The Qur'an's miraculousness is manifested from 7 sources. It is also composed of 7 elements. First source. This is the fluency of its wording, arising from the purity of its language and its brilliant manner of exposition, born of the beauty of the word order, the eloquence of the meanings, the originality of the concepts, the excellence of the inferences, and the singularity of its styles. Combined with this, in its miraculousness are a wondrous embroidery, an exposition, and an original art and language, so its repetition never wearies or bores." Second element. A treasure of occult sciences containing the hidden principles of cosmic events, the obscure mysteries of the divine truths, the unseen matters of revelation, events concealed in the past, and matters hidden in the future. The tone of the worlds of the unseen speaks with the manifest world. It discloses its matters symbolically. Its aim is mankind, a luminous flash of miraculousness. Third source. It has a wondrous comprehensiveness in 5 aspects. In its words, meanings, injunctions, and its knowledge, and the balance of its aims. Its words contain truly vast possibilities and numerous aspects, yet each is the one preferred by eloquence, the most correct in its Arabic and apt in the view of the Sharia. Its meaning. The miraculousness of its exposition at once comprehends and comprises the ways of all the saints, the illuminations of those versed in knowledge of God, the schools of those on the Sufi way, the ways of the scholars of Kalam, and the paths of the philosophers. The breadth of its evidence, the expanse of its meanings. If you look through this window, what a broad arena you will see. The scope of its injunctions. The wondrous Sharia has deduced from it all the principles for the happiness of this world and the next, all the means of salvation. Its pronouncements at once embrace all the relations of social life, all methods of education, the realities of all conditions. The profundity of its knowledge. It has brought together in its paradise, in the fortresses of its surahs, both the physical sciences and the divine sciences, and all signs, allusions, and indications to them, its aims and purposes. It has applied perfect balance and regular sequence, conformed with the principles of the innate nature of things and unity, and has preserved the balance. So, see the marvelous encompassments in the comprehensiveness of its words, the breadth of its meanings, the scope of its injunctions, the profundity of its knowledge, and the balance of its aims. Fourth element. It bestows a luminous effulgence on every age in accordance with its understanding and degree of literacy, and on all the classes of men in accordance with their capacities and abilities. Its door is open to every era and every class within each. It is as though the speech of the most merciful is freshly revealed every instant, everywhere. The Qur'an grows younger as it grows older, its signs become apparent, it rends the veil of nature and causes the divine address. It sheds the light of divine unity continuously from every verse. It raises the veil of the manifest world, cast over the unseen. The loftiness of its address invites man's attentive gaze, for it is the tone of the unseen, it speaks with the manifest world. Its wondrous freshness proceeds from this element, an all-encompassing ocean, divine condescension to the minds of men to make it familiar. The variety of the styles of its revelation makes it familiar to man and jinn. Fifth source. It relates in an original style laden with meaning, as though itself had witnessed them, of its stories and narrations and truthful accounts, making their essential points. With them it warns mankind. What it relates is this: it tells of former events and future events, the secrets of hell and of heaven, truths of the unseen and mysteries of the manifest world, divine mysteries, stories about cosmic relations, clear stories that neither fact has refuted nor logic. Even if logic does not accept them, it cannot refute them, the revealed books which are revered by all the world. It relates faithfully the points on which they agree and mentions in correct form the subjects on which they differ. These matters issuing from one unlettered was a wonder of the time. Sixth element. It was the founder of the religion of Islam and comprises it. If you investigate time and place, neither the past was capable of producing the like of Islam, nor is the future. This heavenly thread holds the globe in its annual and daily rotations and spins it. It weighed down heavily on the earth and mounted it, but the earth still does not give up its rebellion. Seventh source. The six lights pouring forth from these six sources blend together. From this a beauty becomes apparent, and from this an intuition, a luminous means of understanding. This produces a pleasure. The pleasure of miraculousness may be known, but our language is inadequate to describe it. The mind too is defective. That celestial star may be seen, but not held. For 13 centuries the Qur'an's enemies have desired to challenge it, while it has aroused in its friends a desire to imitate it. This too is a proof of its miraculousness. Millions of Arabic books have been written in consequence of these two intense desires coming into the library of existence. If they are compared with revelation, if they are weighed up, relying on the evidence of their eyes and ears, not only the learned scholar, even the common man will declare, this is heavenly, those are human. They will also say, it doesn't resemble them, it is not of the same class. It is therefore lower than all of them and this is self-evidently not true, in which case it is superior to all of them, its meanings in all that time. The door is open, dedicated to mankind. It has summoned to itself spirits and minds. Man had power over it and laid claim to it, but his meanings still could not oppose the Qur'an. He never could. Now the time of testing has passed. It does not resemble other books. It cannot be compared to them. For it was dominical wisdom, its being revealed bit by bit over 20 years in relation to need, in miscellaneous parts. The immediate causes of revelation were various and distinct. The questions about any one matter were repeated and various. The events related to injunctions were numerous and changed. The times of revelation were distinct and different. The conditions it was considering were various and different. The groups of those it was addressing were numerous and removed from each other. The aims of its guidance were graded and various. Its structure and expositions and replies and addresses were based on these foundations. Yet, despite this, its smoothness of style and lack of defect, its mutual proportion and harmony demonstrated its perfection. Witness to this is that according to the science of rhetoric, the Qur'an has a characteristic not present in other speech. If you listen to other speech, you will see the speaker or writer behind it, or you will find him within it. Style is the mirror of man. O dream questioner, you asked for conciseness, so I have made an indication. If you want a detailed exposition that is beyond my capabilities, a fly cannot behold the sky, for of the 40 sources of miraculousness, only one is the eloquence of the word order, and an exposition of it did not fit in Isharat-el-Ijaz. My 100-page commentary was insufficient for it. Rather, I want a detailed exposition from spirit inspirations like yourself. The fanciful, lust, exciting, genius-style hand of Western literature cannot reach up to the healing, light-scattering, guidance-laden, eternal literature of the Qur'an. A state of mind pleasing to the mature and perfected with their appreciation of meaning does not gratify the childish, whimsical, and dissolute. It does not entertain them. In consequence, those raised amid base, dissolute, carnal, and lust pleasures will not experience spiritual pleasure. Looking with the novel-based view of modern literature, which issued from Europe, they will neither see nor experience the elevated subtleties, the majestic virtues of the Qur'an. Their touchstone cannot essay those virtues. There are 3 areas in which literature promenades, it roams within their bonds. Either love and sorrow, or heroism and valor, or depiction of reality. In foreign literature, it does not seek the truth in heroism, it rather instills a desire for power by applauding mankind's cruelties. As regards sorrow and love, it does not know true love, it injects into the soul a last, exciting thrill. In the question of depicting reality, it does not look on the universe as divine art, it does not see it with its view of the most merciful. It rather approaches it from the point of view of nature and depicts it thus, and it cannot be freed from this. For this reason, what it inculcates is love of nature. It instills in the heart a feeling of materialism from which it cannot easily be saved. Again, that unmannerly literature, both sedative and narcotic, can provide no beneficial salve for the distress of the spirit which arises from the misguidance resulting from the above. It has found a single remedy, and that is its novels and fiction. Books with their dead living, the cinema with its animated corpses. The dead cannot bestow life. and the theater with its reincarnations and ghosts from the vast grave known as the past. It is completely unashamed at these three sources of its fiction. It has put a mendacious tone in mankind's mouth, attached a lustful eye to its face, dressed the world in a scarlet petticoat, and does not recognize sheer beauty. If it points to the sun, it puts in the reader's minds a beautiful blonde actress. It apparently says, "Vice is bad, it is not fitting for man." It points out its harmful consequences, but its depictions so incite vice that they make the mouth water and the reason cannot remain in control. They whet the appetite, excite desire, so the emotions no longer heed anything. The literature of the Qur'an, however, does not stir up desire. It imparts a sense of love of the truth, a passion for sheer loveliness, an appreciation and taste for beauty, a desire for reality. And it does not deceive. It does not look at the universe from the point of view of nature. It speaks of it from the point of view of divine art, with the coloring of the most merciful. It does not confuse the mind. It instills the light of knowledge of the Maker. It points out his signs in all things. Both produce a touching sorrow, but they do not resemble each other. The literature born of Europe excites a pathetic sorrow arising from the lack of friends, from being ownerless, not an elevated sorrow. For it is a woe-begone sadness inspired by deep nature and blind force. It shows the world as desolate, not in any other way. It depicts it in this way, holds the sorrowing man there, places him ownerless among strangers, leaving him without hope. Due to this feeling of consternation it has given him, he gradually sinks into misguidance. It opens up the way to atheism, from whence it is difficult to return. Perhaps he never will return. Quranic literature produces a sorrow, but it is a sorrow of love, not of orphans. It arises from separation from friends, not from the lack of them. Its view of the universe, in place of blind nature, is as conscious, merciful divine art. It does not speak of nature. Instead of blind force, it describes wise and purposeful divine power. The universe, therefore, does not take on the form of a desolate wasteland. Indeed, in the view of the grieving one it addresses, it becomes a gathering of friends. On every side, mutual love and response, which cause no distress. The friendliness at every corner draws the melancholy person into society, giving him a yearning sorrow, an elevated feeling, not a dejected mournfulness. Both give rise to eagerness, but through the eagerness provoked by the foreign literature, the soul becomes excited, the desires are stimulated, it gives no joy to the spirit. The Qur'an's eagerness, however, fires the spirit, gives rise to a lofty eagerness. It is for this reason that the Sharia of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, wants no amusements or diversion. It has forbidden some musical instruments for amusement and permitted others. That is to say, instruments producing Qur'anic sorrow or revelational eagerness are not harmful. But if it produces the woe-begone grief of the orphan or carnal thrills, the instrument is prohibited. It changes from person to person, not everyone is the same. Branches offer fruits in the name of mercy. On every side, the branches of the tree of creation apparently extend the fruits of bounties to the hands of beings with spirits. But in reality, it is a hand of mercy, a hand of power, which holds out to us those branches and fruits. You should kiss that hand of mercy in gratitude. You should proclaim the holiness of that hand of power thankfully. An explanation of the three ways indicated at the end of Surah Al-Fatiha. O brother full of hope, take your imagination and come with me. See, we are in a land, we look around. There is no one to see us. A layer of black cloud has settled on the high mountains like tent posts. The cloud has covered too the whole face of the earth. It forms a solid ceiling, but its 6 sides are open, so the sun is visible. We are under the cloud. The darkness oppresses us. The distress is suffocating. The airlessness is killing us. Now 3 ways are open to us. One is a luminous world. I beheld it once, that metaphorical land. Yes, I came here once before. I have passed down these 3 ways. The first way is this. Most people take it. It is the way of the world. It invites us to travel it. See, we are on our way. We are going on foot. See how the sea sands of the desert scorch us with their anger, threatening us. See the mountainous waves, they are threatening us too. Now, thanks be to God, we have emerged on the other side. We can see the face of the sun. But only we know the difficulties we have suffered. Oh, we have returned to the wasteland, the ceiling of cloud with its lowering darkness. What we need is the eye of the heart to illumine things. A wondrous light-filled world. If you have the courage, we shall enter it together, this way so fraught with dangers. Our second way, we shall plunge through nature earth and pass to the other side. Or, trembling, we shall pass through a natural tunnel. I traveled this way one time, fearlessly and full of prayer. But on that occasion, I had with me a substance to smelt and rent the nature earth. The third way, the Qur'an had given me that miraculous evidence. Brother, stick close behind me and have no fear. See, here await us tunnel-like caves and underground torrents. They will let us pass. Don't let these awesome lifeless beings of nature scare you in the slightest. For behind its sour face is the smiling countenance of its compassionate owner. I perceived that radium-like substance of the Qur'an through its light. There, you see, we have come out in the light-filled world. See this delicate earth, this soft and gentle air. Raise your head. See, it has drawn its head to the skies, rent the clouds, leaving them for below. This tuba tree invites us. It is the Qur'an. It has spread its branches everywhere. We must hang onto this branch which is trailing down so that it can raise us up. That heavenly tree on earth, one of its personifications is the illustrious Sharia. That is to say, we ascended to these worlds of light in that way, without difficulty. We were shaken by no distress. Since we went wrong, we will return to our former place and find the right way. See our third way. Over the mountains hovers a royal falcon. He is reciting the azan to the whole world. See the supreme muezzin Muhammad al-Hashimi, peace and blessings be upon him, is summoning mankind to the luminous world of light. He enjoins supplication and obligatory prayers. Look at the mountains. See, the guidance has rent the clouds. The mountain of the Sharia has raised its head to the skies. How it has adorned the face and eye of the earth. Now we must depart from here in the aircraft of endeavor. The light and breeze are there. The light of beauty is there. Ah, now here is the Uhud of divine unity, that mighty mountain. Here is the Judy of Islam, that wholesome mountain. Here is the mountain of the moon, the Qur'an of Al-Azhar, the pure water of the Nile flows from that sublime source. Take a drink of its sweet water. So blessed be God, the best of creators, and their call shall close with, all praise be to God, sustainer of all the worlds. Friend, now cast away your imagination and don your reason. The first two ways are those of those who have received your anger and those who have gone astray. Their perils are numerous. On them is perpetual winter, their autumn and summer. Only 1 out of 100 is saved, like Plato and Socrates. The third way is easy and direct and straight. Weak and strong are equal. Everyone may take it. The most comfortable is this, to be either martyr or Ghazi. Now we come to the conclusion. Yes, the first two ways are the path and school of the genius of science. As for the guidance of the Qur'an, the third way is its straight path. It will take us there. O God, guide us to the straight path, the path of those whom you have blessed, not those who have received your anger, nor those who have gone astray. All true pain is in misguidance, and all true pleasure in belief, a mighty truth wrapped in imagination. Prudent fellow traveler, my friend, if you want to see clearly the differences between the luminous way of the straight path and the gloomy path of those who have received your anger and those who have gone astray, come, take your fancy and mount your imagination. Together we shall go to darkness of non-existence. We shall visit that vast grave, that city of the dead. A pre-eternal all-powerful one took us out of that place of darkness with his hand of power, mounted us on existence, and sent us to this world, this city without pleasures. Now we have come to the world of existence, this fearful desert. Our eyes have opened, we have looked in the 6 directions. Firstly, we look before us seeking favors, but tribulations and pains assault us like enemies. We take fright at that and draw back. We look to left and right to the natural elements seeking assistance. But we see their hearts are hard and merciless. They grind their teeth, glowering at us angrily. They heed neither plea nor plaint. Like creatures beleaguered, we despairingly lift our gazes upwards. Seeking help, we look to the heavenly bodies, but they threaten us awesomely. As though each was a bomb having shot out of their cases, they are speeding through space. But somehow or other they do not obstruct each other. If by chance one confused its way, this manifest world would be blown to pieces. God forbid. It is tied to coincidence. No good can come of that. In despair we turn back our gaze from that direction, overcome by grievous bewilderment. We bow our heads and look to ourselves. We consider and study ourselves. Now we hear the shouts of myriads needs coming from our wretched selves. The cries of thousands of wants issue forth. While expecting solace, we take fright. No good comes from that either. Seeking refuge, we consult our consciences. We look within seeking a solution. Alas, again, we can find none. We have to help the conscience. For in it are thousands of hopes, turbulent emotions, wild desires, spread throughout the universe. We tremble with all of them and cannot offer help. Compressed in the world of existence, those hopes stretch out to pre-eternity on one side and post-eternity on the other. They have such breadth, if they swallowed the world, the conscience still would not be satisfied. Wherever we have recourse on this grievous road, we encounter misfortune. For the ways of those who have received your anger and those who have gone astray are thus. Chance and misguidance beset that road. We follow it and fall into our present state. Even now, we temporarily forget its beginning and end, the maker and resurrection of the dead. It is worse than hell, it scorches more terribly, it crushes our spirits. For we had recourse to those 6 directions, but this state resulted. It fills us with awesome terror, making us shudder with impotence, disquiet and apprehension, orphanhood and despair, so that it wrecks our conscience. Now we shall form a front opposite each of the directions and try to repulse them. Firstly, we have recourse to our own strength, but alas, we are powerless, weak. Secondly, we address ourselves to silencing the needs of the soul, but alas, we see that they cry out unceasingly. Thirdly, we cry out for help seeking a Savior, but no one hears or responds. We suppose everything to be hostile, everything strange. Nothing consoles our hearts, nothing gives a sense of security or true pleasure. Fourthly, the more we looked at the celestial bodies, the more they filled us with fright and awe, vexing the conscience, alienating it, tormenting the mind, filling it with delusions. Brother, that is the way of misguidance. On it we experienced all the darkness of unbelief. Come now, my brother, we will turn again to that non-being. Again we shall come. This time our way is the straight path and the way of belief. Our guides and leader are wisdom and the Qur'an, the falcon that overflies the centuries. At one time, the pure eternal sovereign's mercy and grace willed our existence. His power brought us forth, graciously mounting us on the law of His will, completing us stage after stage. Then it compassionately clothed us in the garments of existence, bestowed on us the trust and its rank. The mark of this is supplication and the obligatory prayers. All the stages are stopping places on our long road. To make our road easy, Divine Determining issued a decree and pasted it on the page of our foreheads. Wherever we go, with whichever group we are guests, we are welcomed in truly brotherly fashion. We give of our belongings and we receive from theirs. Love burn of commerce, they nourish us, adorn us with gifts, then they see us on our way. Now, at last, we have come to the door of the world. We hear a noise. See, we have arrived at the earth. We have stepped foot in the manifest world, the festival of the most merciful, the clamorous habitation of man. We know nothing at all. Our guide and leader is the will of the merciful one. Our guide's deputy, our delicate eyes. We open our eyes and look around. Do we recall the first time we came? We were strangers, orphans. Our enemies were many. We did not know our protector. Now, with the light of belief, we have a strong pillar, a point of support, a protector who repulses those enemies. And that is belief in God, which is the light of our spirits, and light of our lives, and spirit of our spirits. Now, our hearts are easy, we disregard the enemies, not even recognizing them. When on our first journey, we consulted our consciences, we heard innumerable cries and laments and complaints. It was due to them that we were overcome by misfortune. For our hopes and desires, capacity and senses always desire eternity. But we did not know how to obtain it, hence their lamentations and cries. However, all praise be to God. This time we have found a point of succor which always gives life to our innate disposition and hopes it makes them take flight for eternity. Our innate disposition shows them the way from that point and seeks help, drinks down the water of life, and races to its perfection through that point of succor, that encouraging, elusive symbol. The second pole of belief is affirmation of the resurrection of the dead. Everlasting happiness is that shell's pearl. The proof of belief, the Qur'an, the conscience, a human mystery. Now raise your head and take a look at the universe. Speak a word with it. It appeared formidable on our former way. Now it is smiling, laughing on every side, coyly, winking and blinking. Do you not see our eyes have become bees? They fly everywhere in the garden of the universe, around the profusion of flowers. Each flower prefers them a delectable draught. Each also offers solace, love, and a feeling of familiarity. They too give and take and offer testimony. They make honey flow forth from honey, that mysterious falcon. As our gaze alights on the motions of the heavenly bodies, or the stars, or suns, they show up the Creator's wisdom and the manner of His instruction and the manifestation of His mercy, making them take flight. It is as though the sun is speaking with us, saying, "My brothers, don't feel frightened or dismayed. You are welcome. How good you have come. This dwelling place is yours. I am but a candle holder. I am like you, but a pure, obedient, unrebellious servant. Out of His utter mercy, the single and eternally besought One subjected me so that I would serve you with my light. Light and heat are from me, supplication and prayer from you. Now look at the moon and the stars and the seas. Each says in its own tone, 'Welcome, it is good you have come.' Don't you recognize us? Look through the mystery of cooperation, through the science of the order. Each says, 'We are all servants, mirrors of the all-glorious One's mercy. Don't worry, don't be dismayed. Don't feel frightened or skeptical at the crashing of the thunder and cries of events, for within them are the rolling of recitations, the clamor of clarifications, the tumult of supplication and entreaty. The all-glorious One who sent us to you holds their reins in His hands. The eye of faith reads on their faces the signs of mercy. Each proclaims them. O believer with a wakeful heart, let our eyes rest a little. We shall hand over our sensitive ears to the blessed hand of belief in their place. We shall send them to the world to listen to its delightful refrains. The universal mourning and lamentations of death imagined on our first way are now all supplications and orisons, cries of clarification. Listen to the murmuring of the air, the twittering of chicks, the pattering of the rain, the plashing of the seas, the crashing of thunder, the crackling of stones. All are meaningful refrains. The humming of the air, the intoning of the thunder, the strains of the waves are all recitations of grandeur. The chanting of the rains, the warbling of birds are all glorifications of mercy, allusions to reality. The sounds of things are all sounds of existence. I too exist, they say. The silent universe suddenly finds voice. Don't suppose us to be lifeless, O chattering man. A tasty morsel or droplet of rain, the birds break into song. With their different voices, their tiny songs, they applaud mercy, alight on bounties, proclaiming their thanks. Implicitly they say, beings of the universe, my brothers, How fine are our circumstances! We are tenderly nourished. We are happy at our lot. With beaks outstretched, they scatter their songs on the air. In its entirety, the universe is a lofty orchestra. Through the light of belief, its recitations, its glorifications are heard. For its wisdom rejects the existence of chance, its order repulses it. In unison they banish thought. Fellow traveler, we are living now this world of similitudes, stepping down from imagination and fancy. We shall alight in the arena of reason, take stock, and close down those ways. Our first way, full of pain, that of those who have received your anger, and those who have gone astray, inflicts suffering on the innermost conscience, and severe pain. Consciousness showed this, we became the reverse of conscious. We have to be saved from it, we need to be, so the pain can be pacified or numbed. We can't endure it otherwise. No one heeds the cries for help. Guidance is healing, but fancies block out the feelings. This requires solace. It requires faint unmindfulness. It requires occupation. It requires entertainment, enchanting desires. Then it can deceive the conscience and put the spirit to sleep so they feel no pain. Otherwise, that grievous suffering scorches the conscience. The pain is unendurable, the despair cannot be borne. This means, however far one deviates from the straight path, to that extent one is affected in that way, causing the conscience to cry out. Within every pleasure is a pain, a taint. That means glittering civilization, which is a mixture of fancy, lust, amusement, and licentiousness, is a deceptive panacea for the ghastly distress arising from misguidance, a poisonous narcotic. My dear friend, on our second way, that light-filled road, we pursued a state of mind in which life became a source of pleasure, pains became joys. We understood that it imparts a state to the spirit, varying in degree according to strength of belief. The body receives pleasure through the spirit receives pleasure through the conscience. An immediate pleasure is felt in the conscience, a spiritual paradise is present in the heart. To think of it is to open it up, while consciousness is marked by its secrets. Now, however much the heart is aroused, the conscience stimulated, the spirit stirred, it increases the pleasure, transforming fire into light and winter into spring. The doors of paradises open up in the conscience. The world becomes a paradise. Within it our spirits take flight, soaring like kites, and treading, praying. Worthy fellow traveler, farewell for now. Let us offer a prayer together, then we shall part to meet again. O God, lead us to the straight path. Amen. Reply to the Anglican Church. One time, as an artifice, a pitiless enemy of Islam, a cunning politician, a suspicious person who wanted to swagger and show off, asked us 4 things in the form of denial. At a terrible time he had his claws at our throat. In his glee at our misfortune, he wanted 600 words. A reply was needed like a slap in the face of his glee, and his wiles, and his denial, like spitting in his face, to silence him. I won't address him. I have the following answer for a lover of truth. He asked first, "What is the religion of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him?" I replied, "It is the Qur'an." The basic aims of the Qur'an are the 6 pillars of belief and the 5 pillars of Islam. In the second he asked, "What has it given to life and thought?" I replied, "To thought, the affirmation of divine unity, to life, moderation, and the middle way. My witnesses for this are, say, He is God, the One. Therefore, stand firm in the straight way, as you are commanded. In the third, he said, What remedies has it for the present atrocities? I replied, The prohibition of usury and interest, and the payment of zakat. My witnesses for this are these. God will deprive usury of all blessing. God has permitted trade and forbidden usury. And be steadfast in prayer and practice regular charity, zakat. In the fourth, he asked, How does it look on man's revelations? I replied, Labor, striving are fundamental. Wealth should not be accumulated in the hands of tyrants and held onto. My witnesses for this, man has nothing save that which he strives. Those who store up gold and silver and do not spend it in God's way, announce to them a most grievous penalty. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. O God, O most merciful, O most compassionate, O single one, O ever-living one, O self-subsistent one, O arbiter, O all-just one, O most holy, for the sake of your greatest name and in veneration of the Qur'an of miraculous exposition and in honor of your most noble messenger, upon whom be blessings and peace, bestow everlasting happiness in paradise on the producers of this book and on all those who assist them. Amen. And grant them unending success in the service of belief and the Qur'an. Amen. And for each word of the words, write 1,000 merits in the books of their good deeds. Amen. And bestow on them perseverance, constancy, and sincerity in publishing the Risale-i Nur. Amen. O most merciful of the merciful, grant happiness in this world and the next to all the students of the Risale-i Nur. Amen. Preserve them from the evil of assailants among jinn and man. Amen. And forgive the faults of this impotent and wretched Sayyid. Amen. In the name of all the students of the Risale-i Nur, Sayyid Nursi.